And for every experience, there's a way in. So for some of us, we say, for some experiences, we'll work on the outside, and some we will work on the inside. There are different ways we can align an experience. There are different ways we can create support for ourselves. And one of the ways that this is done is by noticing the reactions, right? So noticing what are our reactions to our experiences. And the reason we start with breath is because breath is the foundation of every other experience we have. It's how the body integrates the oxygen, right? The way we do one thing is the way we do everything. But nobody can live without breathing. So for a lot of us, we're looking for simple ways to change our life, to discover transformation, to make these big, stark changes. We're chasing these dreams, educating ourselves, discovering new things. But one of the secrets to life is coming back down to the core of the experience, simplifying it to the foundation. So rather than asking yourself about why you're anxious or why you would be expressing yourself a certain way in the sense of the reaction, coming back and pedaling back to the action with noticing the impact of shifting the breath rather than getting into the story and the detail, shifting into the breath, softening the breath, slowing down the breath, noticing the texture of the breath and how it meets the body. Noticing the thoughts, the resistance, the acceptance, the difficulty, or the ease. And integrating this sensation of being with yourself. This discipline of self-care and self-soothing or self-regulation. So when we enter an experience and we're struggling, rather than trying to fix the problem, which is focusing on the goal, and again, you can always try to fix your problems. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I'm just giving you another angle to attempt and try, is to realign the aim and notice what the body is experiencing, where your body goes. When you run into a challenge, so by taking that moment to really zero in on that awareness, rather than go into all the little details and the long list of things that need to change to get to where you need to go, tapping into the simpler part of life, the simplicity of, let me just regulate my breath. Let me go into a space where I feel comfortable in myself, which is connected to a sense of no effort at all. Sometimes the tension that we're feeling that is facing us as we try to simplify is resistance that's been built like a muscle. So it's a pattern. And a lot of times it doesn't even belong to us. It's shapes that have been created through and patterns that have been constantly worked, that have been taking a lot of our energy and time. When we think about the concept of working so hard and putting in so much effort, sometimes the approach can be shifted. And sometimes the difficulty we're having is trying to integrate something that doesn't pair with the human that we naturally are. But learning how to self regulate in an experience is building your immune system, your emotional immune system in that space. And from there, you'll be able to judge how compatible something is with you or isn't. So we're going to go into an exercise now where we're going to try to build from the ground up in ourselves and really radiate in our own light, where this experience will be available to you. It will radiate and digest through the day. So it's not only something that will be effective now, but it will be effective as you move through your day because it ripples through. And what it is we're just going to tap into our light, really sit within it. And just like with a food flavor, there's a sense of enjoyment in the experience itself, but it lasts. The reason we pay for a good meal is for the experience. And we also mature our palate, educate our palate, and get a feel for those flavors. When it comes to experiencing that light within us, the confidence within us, the strength, the abundance, it's all about first sitting within the experience itself, tapping into the flavors, tapping into the experience and educating the palate. But all those things are there within us. It's just, for some of us, we just haven't learned how to regulate it or enjoy that, right? So wherever you are, make yourself really, really comfortable. You can close down the eyes and invite yourself into your space onto a deeper level. And the first thing we're going to do is begin to release some of the things that might get in the way of really feeling comfortable and transparent with yourself. So as things come up for you in this experience, You can give them permission to stay at the door and allow yourself to go deeper into this experience. Just for a few moments. And you will collect your baggage at the end of this experience. So within a few inhales, we're going to just begin to release some of this stuff. And what we're doing is we're not getting rid of it. We're just moving it to the side to experience a deeper part of ourselves. Sorry, just give me one moment. Ruchli. Okay, it is what it is. You know, just one second, sorry. Yeah, you can leave it at the door. You can leave it at the door. Thank you. Sorry. Okay. All right, so we're going to begin with this first inhale. Inhaling through the nose, leaning back in the chair. And the first thing we're going to do is visually leave our shoes at the door. And I want you to notice your body now. And just visualize a space you'd like to be in, a space you desire to explore. So this can be a forest, a city, a beach. This can also be in your own home. It can be a room in your home. Just notice an adventure that you'd like to experience. And if you were taking all your belongings, the belongings you feel you need, the essentials, as your eyes are softening and as your breath is softening, just notice what those essentials are. Are you wearing a backpack? Are you dragging a suitcase? Are you stripped down to just the basic clothing? What is it that you have with you? And then notice the climate in the room or the experience. So, in the space that you're in, is it cold? Is it hot? Are you wearing a jacket? What does it smell like? Just standing in that space, notice how you're beginning to feel. So, is this ambitious for you? Is there a curiosity here? And what I invite you to do here is, if there is any baggage, so if you're wearing a backpack or there's a suitcase, just to take it off, placing it on the ground beside you, removing your shoes, removing the jacket, and beginning to walk into that space, enter the space. Notice if the space begins to shift as you begin to release this content, right? So does the ceilings get higher? Does the sky get brighter? Is there more detail available in the room or less detail? Notice if your breath got constricted. Find a comfortable place to sit in that space. And allow yourself to be still. Physically still rather than emotionally still. So now any sensations that come up, the way we're going to work through it is through breath rather than movement, physical movement. So any thought and emotion that you feel might not serve you here, feel free to just then gently place it in the pile there of the stuff and dive deeper into this space. And we're going to start with our core and the grounding of our spine. As it meets the ground beneath you. And if that was the foundation, I want you to lighten it up as if it was this beautiful golden ball that had movement and light. Just allow light to come from it, from the bottom of your seated position, just the foundation of your spine. And then we're just going to continue to go up the spine, as in beginning to add more light as we build. So when you're ready, we're going to add another ball. Notice if there's this magnetism there, this movement. Just notice the strength it is giving the rest of the body. And if it's radiating outside of you or inside of you. And when you're ready, halfway through, like the mid back, you can add another one, another ball. So again, magnet, light, movement. So notice if warmth has been invited into the space. And the only control that you have to generate here is through breath. So just soften or ease into it or harness the breath. We're going to add another ball right behind the chest. Notice how it draws to the rest of the line, ignites within you. Adding another one on top of that, which is by the collarbone, up behind the back, as we build this spine. Just one by our neck. Notice the light, the warmth, the channeling, the softness or flexibility that is available to you. I'm going to add one more for support for the head. Notice how much light, how much movement. is available. In that strength, you can open your palms towards the ceiling. And allow this light to radiate within you. Allow the light to radiate outside of you. Allow this space to channel anything you want to bring towards you or heal. Softly dissolving these energy balls into the spine itself, allowing them to integrate into your experience. Noticing how that feels. Just breathing into that space. And when you're ready, in that space that you're in the visual, as your eyes are still closed, I want you to slowly begin to stand up. Notice if you're more grounded here. Notice if you have more insight. Notice if the space feels the same or has changed. And notice if you need any of the stuff that you have released. Asking yourself if today you can attempt to enter your day without all the stuff. But if you do need them, you can go grab them. Notice if they are lighter or heavier. And when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. Notice how it feels to integrate it into life itself in this space. And as you move through your day, notice if there are any sensations from that experience that you can integrate into the day itself. If there's a way you can have more compassion for yourself, less judgment, and more participation. So just move gently throughout the day. I'll open it up now for comments. If anyone has any comments or questions, just be mindful of everybody's space right now, in the sense that everybody's that has been practicing this in this space is more in a gentle environment. So we have about 4 minutes. So if anyone has any comments, any thoughts, or any feedback, it's always welcome.
Morning.
Good morning.
I noticed how I got a little dizzy from taking deep breaths. And like that feeling of that abundance of air and energy in my body was like a little overwhelming.
Okay.
For my body. but it also felt good to let everything else go.
When we begin to create circulation in our experience, I have this a lot of times with yoga and beginners. When we begin to create more movement in spaces that we haven't moved in a while, there is that sense of dizziness because that's kind of the entrance to um, the breakthrough and the movement itself. So, noticing that in those spaces, you do need a little bit more circulation and you can encourage that, just take it slow. And just notice that that's an area that you can begin to explore. And as you do it, if you are feeling dizzy, just make sure that you're still. Make sure you're completely still. That's why we try to physically stay still, because then we can really channel the breath and where it needs to go rather than kind of, force it out through physical movement.
So you don't think the dizzy and the little bit shaky in my fingers is a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing. It's actually awakening some sensations. What I would definitely recommend is hydrating, making sure you drink a lot of water today. Move slower. So you can drink, I recommend like room temperature or lukewarm water, something warm, but get a lot of fluids in. And a lot of times that, like when we begin to take bigger breaths, it's just we're allowing more oxygen into the body than we're used to. And the more relaxed we are, the more we can get in there. So just move with caution. And if you are experiencing anything, feel free to reach out and I will move through it with you. Sometimes we need a few movements to close the practice out. So if you do feel like you feel open or exposed, feel free to take a child's pose or just getting into laying flat on the mat to just get some grounding. So just ask yourself what your body needs.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Somebody said she had an emotional reaction, which is like some crying, which is beautiful. If you are feeling like you need some comfort, feel free to also take a blanket, wrap your shoulders in a blanket, just wrap yourself and just sit with yourself for a bit and just allow yourself to sit in that radiation, because what we're doing here is channeling our own power from within. We have less than a minute. Does anyone have any other questions? Because if yes, then I can reopen. We can close down and reopen the Zoom link. Right. Okay, so I will let you go. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or you are struggling with anything, and have a wonderful day. And I'll see you soon.